Well, we will begin with a team that has, I think, played absolutely remarkably to start the season and into the mid-season now, I suppose, and that is the LA Rams. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that late game 34-7 on the Sunday night. A team just going from strength to strength now. They are 9-2, atop of the NFC. It's a shame that Sky's not here because it would be, your Patriots are on top of the AFC, etc., and maybe they would meet each other in the Super Bowl, but I'm sure he'll be listening or watching somewhere, so he'll be able to hear that post show. This team at the minute, I mean, they really, I mean, what didn't help Tampa Bay was Baker Mayfield's injury, Adam, and obviously that took him out of the game. It was to his non-throwing arm. But this team, every time and every week with this team, it just feels like they are becoming more and more and more complete. And they seem to be doing amazing things on offense. Matthew Stafford at the minute is MVP for a lot of people. I mean, I had him as the MVP of the week when we did our mid-season awards, and now it feels like he is the MVP of this league with the drop-off of some of the other quarterbacks owing into your bad quarterback play from this weekend that you just mentioned. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, then you flip the script and you go, whoa, the defense as well. Jaraverse, Byron Young, that backfield as well is also playing fantastic. The linebacker they just extended, who's been phenomenal as well this season. Are we looking at the most complete team in the NFL now?
It does feel like it, doesn't it? At the moment, it feels like they do have all the attributes everywhere that you need. You know, I mean, a prime example of the coaching that's improved, and the likes of Emmanuel Forbes at corner. I mean, you know, someone who was, I mean, dire is probably a nice way of putting it. He was at the Vikings, I think he was at.
Was it Washington drafted him, didn't
Was
they?
he Washington? I can't remember.
Yeah.
First round pick by Washington.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the fact just him and just the improvement that we've seen this season from basically a guy who essentially near enough let go, and then they've picked him up. And yeah, I mean the fact they can do that in the one area that we said was their weakness as well. I mean the secondary was the area that we were all talking about when we came into the season, that was the issue. And yeah, he's been great. Cam Curl's been great. Cam Kitchens has been great. Kobe Durant looked good as well against the Bucks. He had some good plays. And these are all guys that no one was really talking about. And that's what that's kind of how it works, isn't it? That's how you end up with a Super Bowl roster. You have these guys that no one's talking about, no one knows, and yet all of a sudden they just elevate their game because everyone else is so good. The coaching is so good. I think Chris Shula has been great with this defense. I'm not one for defensive coordinators becoming head coaches, but I would be shocked if he doesn't get interviews. And I think there are teams out there that it would make sense for him to be taken on. So I think in that respect, you know, I really liked Poona Ford at the Chargers last year. I think that's been another great addition that they've brought into that defense. And also, is it the one who's out injured at the moment? Quinton Lake, is that it? The sort of safety, isn't he? I think he's done really well for them as well. So the defense has been great. As you say, with a lot of the offense, it's not really a surprise. To be honest, a lot of them are well-established names that we all know are very, very good. I just think that they've been able to bring in maybe some tight ends that people don't really know that much about that have contributed as well and done well. I think the O-line has been pretty solid. I don't think the O-line actually has been amazing, but I think it's been decent. There's no weak areas.
And I don't think there was no sort of questions about, well, bad questions, I suppose, prior to the season, Andrew, about this Rams team. You know, Matthew Stafford with back injury at the start of the year. A lot of people worried about how he's going to look. Like I reiterated, 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They're the 7th best in passing yards. I mean, 7th best in overall offense. They're top 10 defense as well. And there was questions, Puka Nacua, is his offense too Puka Nacua centric? Well, he was without him in London, and as we witnessed, they played pretty damn good, didn't they? I mean, they've almost come even further since when Nakua was out for a little bit, and it's made this offense a little bit more rounded. And then when you look on that defense, a lot of people say, very young defense, a lot of unknown players, like Adam just alluded to. I think when I checked earlier, I had some fantastic notes earlier, by the way, guys, on this, which I fortunately have left on a computer that I don't have access to, which would have a lot more in-depth stuff. But I do remember a few tidbits, and they are actually the 15th youngest roster in the NFL at the minute. I think the average age is around 26, which I can imagine Matthew Stafford is probably dragging that average down tremendously just by his own age at whatever age he is and coming up into his late 30s, 40s. Is that what's impressed you? Because I know you are a big fan of LA, though you are a Giants fan. You've spent a lot of time in LA. You like the Rams. Have they put them sort of questions to bed now about maybe some people who are a little bit nervous about some aspects of this team?
Yeah, I mean, the conversation that we had as a group prior to the season when we talked about this division, I was a little bit apprehensive of the Rams going in because I was unsure about this back injury that they were alluding to with Stafford. And I thought if Stafford's out, it's not the same team. And I said, if he's fit, then I agree with Adam. They could be Super Bowl contenders. But if he's not and he misses any time, then they might struggle. So I don't know, the rehab or the athletic trainers or whatever they've got, whatever they've done to Stafford, because this was a massive topic a week going into the season, was this back injury that no one kind of knew exactly how bad it was or whether it was going to keep him out or anything. And he's playing like he's the youngest he's ever been and playing the best, like, prime football he can play this season. So hats off to whatever he did in that off season, because that is incredible. And he's playing to the highest level. And that's the big thing. And I think also we need to give a bit of props to Les Snead, who's probably not getting enough chat because Stafford's playing so well. Bringing in Devontae Adams on a free, getting him cheap. I think that's getting your team to have 2 ones at wide receiver. When we talk about other teams and having a good number 2, T. Higgins to Jamar Chase and things like that, Adams is definitely another one, isn't he? So there's got to be props for that as well, because that was a good acquisition, and he seems to be automatic at touchdowns at the minute for them. So yeah, it's just really, really good for this Rams team. And as we've all discussed, there's no other team that we can really hang our hat on and say they're playing really good football at the minute. I think everybody's got like the schedule might be a bit easy, or they're winning ugly, or their offense isn't great but the defense is good, or vice versa. So this is the only team I can honestly put a stamp on and say they are Super Bowl contenders by the way they're playing.
You're pretty much moving on to the point I was going to say next, Adam, is that maybe some people listening to this are going to be like, whoa, hang on, pump the brakes here. Look at the top 10 offenses, look at the top 10 defenses. I had them listed on my fantastic notes. However, I'm going to try and pull them out of my head of who has a top 10 offense and defense at the minute. I'm pretty sure it's the Colts, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the Patriots. I think they are the 4 teams. I think what the supporters of them teams are going to go, well, hang on a minute here. We're equally in the conversation of being this rounded, well-oiled machine. And Andrew's made some points there. We have Patriots. Who they beat, in a way. People say that. Winning ugly. The Chiefs. They've not been very impressive at all this year, really, on either side of the ball, even though they're still in that top bracket. Is it sensible for people to be like, well, you should be maybe favoring our team rather than this Rams team?
I think the problem is that when you look at it, there's very few teams where you can come out and go, the defense is a top 10 defense, and then the offense is a top 10 offense. And I think that's where the problem is. So I don't know what ranking specifically you're looking at or have looked at, but for me, so if you look at like yards per play, you can look at the top teams here, the top 10. So for me, I've got Denver well, Denver's a really good defense, but it's not a great offense.
They've
They struggle.
struggled a
Yeah.
few times in games to put points up on the board, haven't they? That middle section
Yeah.
of the season, you watched them in.
We saw them. We saw
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In London, it was
Yeah.
pretty dull.
Out sorts.
You've got Green Bay again, another team that really good defense, but is struggling to put points up a lot of the time and is very reliant on the run, and it's not great. Houston, great defense, not necessarily a great offense. Now, these teams can score points. It's just that they're not consistently doing it all the time. Seattle in there, so that's a decent offense. But who beat them just a couple of weeks ago?
I know we spoke about this, Adam. The Seahawks, to me, are the next closest in
Yeah.
terms of the visuals and gameplay. The defense is good. The O-line's really good. The quarterback play has been good. Jackson Smith and Jigba, incredible. And the coaching on both sides of the ball has been excellent at Seattle as well. I think when they come up against top quality opponents, Adam said this as well, they struggle a little bit. I think that's their limit.
They've got last year's Vikings written all over them, Seahawks, and they just need that extra year in order to be able to kick on. But yeah, I mean, you just keep looking at them. The Browns, there's no offense. The Rams are in the top 10 themselves. Well, there you go. The Vikings, no offense. Chargers, obviously, they've got a bit of an offense, and Detroit have got an offense, and then the Saints round out the top 10. So it kind of feels like, if you just specifically look at that, that's your top 10 defenses. It does feel that the Rams are the ones that have got that really good offense, that really powerful offense. The one where you can take out the wide receiver one and you can still put 35 points up on the Jags. This is what it's. Other teams can't do that, and I think
in the rain in a foreign country.
Exactly.
Completely out of their comfort zone and on an incredibly short turnaround. They've landed on the Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so that tells you a lot, doesn't it, about what you're dealing with. So I think overall they've got the best all-round team. Doesn't mean they've got the best defense, doesn't mean they've got the best offense, but putting it all together, it does feel very much like they're the best team. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to win. The best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl, but it means that they've got a very, very good chance. And it's why you can understand how come they are top of the NFC at the moment.
I mean, I'm going to use, I'm not a boxing fan. I'm a sport fan. Therefore, I listen to a lot of different sports. But it's like with boxing where people go, who's the best pound for pound champion? And pound for pound champion isn't the world heavyweight champion of the world. It's who completely dominates and has every single weaponry under their arsenal. And for me, at the minute, the Rams are the pound for pound champion. They have everything everywhere, and so much that you don't know where to look. They're taking a relatively average to okay edge rusher in Byron Young, and he's playing at an unreal level. Jared Verse is in conversation for top 5 edge rusher, as well as Byron Young, I suppose, in the top 5, top 10 edge rushers in the league at the minute. That secondary is fantastic. Matt Stafford at his ripe old age is the MVP of this league. Puka Nacua, you could, if it weren't for injuries, you'd probably be chucking him to the argument of offensive player of the year. They're not running the ball fantastically. I think they are 22nd in running the ball around that mark. But I don't think they've needed to call upon it. That's not their game necessarily. I don't think. So therefore, I'm okay with that. That's fine. I have no problem with that. And he said they've got them 3 tight ends. So I think 2 of them are rookies, or just one of them?
1, I think. Oh, is it 2?
Yeah.
Because it's Ferguson.
Yeah. Ferguson's the only one, isn't he?
Yeah. But they play fantastic. Like you said, the O-line, not overly loads to shout about, but incredibly consistent. And the guys that they've brought in, these sort of tearaways from other organizations that, maybe didn't work there. And sometimes they did work there as well. But it's credit from the top down. You mentioned Les Snead, down to Sean McVay, down to then his coordinators, and then to the guys on the pitch. LA's worked hard. The Rams have worked hard as they've relocated to LA to sort of create something, haven't they? They went and made that big move with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, and it was like, because we need to bring a Super Bowl here. If we're going to move an organization to a different city, we need to sort of plant our flag pretty big, especially when you've got the Chargers who share the stadium. You got the Lakers, you got the Dodgers, who've all got humongous names within the world of sport. And it's unfortunately why the Chargers, I think, are laying at the wayside in LA, because they just didn't do that when they got there. And they sort of finally have started it now with getting Herbert with the right coaching, etc., and all that sort of stuff. But the Rams have done that since day dot of making this organization feel like LA. And I think, like you said, I think Seattle are the only team, I think, yeah, they've got that Vikings thing about them from last year, and they've struggled in some of them big games. I mean, if we look at the Rams schedule, who have the Rams got left to play now? If I just have a quick look, they're at Carolina, they're at Arizona, they're hosting Detroit, they're at Seattle, they're at Atlanta, and then they're hosting the Cardinals. I mean, I see them. I could see them losing two games.
That Seattle game's at Seattle, so
yeah,
that'll be the game to watch, won't it? I think the Lions' defense will just get torched by if Stafford's playing the level he is, because the Lions' defense is struggling in games. So I don't see Panthers, Cardinals, Falcons, and Cardinals again upsetting them. I can't see it.
No, I think we're looking at the top dog in the NFC. I think this is going to be the first round bye. Go on.
The turnaround for this team as well is massively impressive as well. To go from a Super Bowl team that went all out and got rid of all their first round picks and just went out and bought old veterans to win it, and then lose Aaron Donald to retirement and things like that. The turnaround is to be contenders again is so impressive.
It certainly is a remarkable feat.